How's it going, everyone? We have Kassai deck tech for this video today. This deck has gotten the top 4 on multiple occasions and has even won a skirmish recently for the summer season of 2022. So just starting out, we're going to start with the token, and those tokens of course going to be the copper. You have to have copper with Kassai with that blood on the hands turn. Everyone knows when they see Kassai, they know that blood on the hand is going to be in that deck and it's going to be a problem. So here's the coppers, and then you are going to be running the sabers with this deck. It's going to be 2 one-handed sabers, the usual generic, as well as the equipment's going to be the usual generic with the Courage of Blade Hold, Crown of Providence, Blade Forge Bracers, and then the Violent Dynamo. This is probably in most matchups what you'll be rocking when going against like Guardians and other opponent heroes of that nature. When going into her probably toughest matchup, that being Wizard, Kano, or Icelander. I know Kano for a fact is very difficult for her at this time. Icelander, I haven't had to run into one yet, but I can imagine it's going to be the same kind of struggle. So with that matchup, we're going to be running the Null-Rune Hood, the Null-Rune Gloves, the Null-Rune Robe, and then a Kano player who had won a recent skirmish was telling me that the Refraction Bolters might be a good deck tech. That way, he's usually isn't gonna be blocking too many times with the saber coming at him if it's over 3 damage or so. So when it hits, you can pop the Refraction Bolters on that lethal turn without having to spend a card and without having to pay a resource. So it helps keep cards in your hand in case when you're coming in for that lethal turn, he knows he's gonna have to pop his Storm Shatters to try to stack you on the lethal. So this is what I would be running the Wizard matchup. And then the last equipment is going to be the Gambler's Gloves. I would only run this probably if you know there's going to be KO in the field that you're going to. If there's no KO and you don't think there's any chance that there's going to be a KO, you could probably substitute these Gambler's Gloves out, because honestly I would probably still run the Brage Forge going into Reinar. If there's going to be a lot of Reinars, you think like maybe still run the Gambler's Gloves. However, if you don't see any brutes in your field, then you can even drop this out and have a Null-Rune Boots. That way, if you have like a Rune Blade, you can just take out the Dynamos, have the Rune or the Null-Rune Boots to kind of help with those Rune chants coming out, and it would, in the end, I think benefit more than having just the Dynamos out on your field. But for the equipment, that's going to be the total of 11. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So like I said, generic, what you usually will be running with most matchups, your Wizard matchup, and then you can have that for your Brute matchup, and then even drop it if you don't think there's going to be any Brutes in your field to add a Null-Rune Boots for the Rune Blade opponents. So having the equipment out the way, we're going to move next into the gist of the deck. The first card being that of a Mentor. You're probably definitely going to want to run a Minerva, because she is able to grab that blood on the hands out and really assist even before that by giving each of your sabers +1 throughout the attacks that she's in the arsenal. Very strong Mentor, very strong to have in the deck. She blocks 3 if nothing else. Of course, she's not going to be able to be used to pitch, but very strong Mentor. Definitely advised to have a Minerva in any Kassai deck that you have. Then we have, for the reds, we have a single generic attack action. That's going to be Nourishing Emptiness. It's a cost 2, but it is 6 Dominate because there's no other attack actions in the deck. So if it does hit, then you're able to have a +1 to your intellect, drawing 5 cards upon damage. So this is a really nice late game when their equipment's pretty much tapped out, and you can for sure get 5 cards in your hand to help keep the momentum in your hand and everything like that. So we rock one of those, and then moving on to the warrior actions. We have for the boosting, Outland Skirmish gives +3 to your next one-hand weapon, and any weapon that will hit that turn will gain, or the first weapon that hits that turn gains copper. So say the first weapon you attack with gets blocked out, the one that gets the +3, you can still come in for the second attack, and if that attack hits, you still get the copper from this card. Just a good way to get some added damage to your attacks, and then also that copper. Probably great staple also is a slice and dice in this deck. +1 to your first attack, +3 to your next attack. Costs 0 to play it, and blocks for 3. Really strong card. Then we have push forward. Push forward is great for closing out the match. It gets +3 to the weapon, the next weapon attack, and then if you've already attacked with a weapon, the next weapon attack gains dominate. So say you play a slice and dice, you attack for 1, or you attack with your first weapon, that gets blocked or whatnot. If you have a pitch to blue, you can pay 1 to play a push forward, attack with a second saber for free, and that saber is going to come at you for 3 + 3, base 2. It's going to be 8 dominate. Real strong late game. If they have no equipment, stuff like that, can really push out some damage. And then we're going to go into the Gogan package, because with this Kassai deck, you want to have a lot of Gogan. I think the Gogan is really a big thing with Kassai to help keep that momentum, help keep the counter off that dynamo. It's like more and more life, basically. So Gogan is one of our great assets, I think, with this deck. And so we have, for the red Gogans, Driving Blade. It costs 2, blocks 3, but gets Gogan and +3 to the next weapon attack. The main thing about this card is it does cost a lot. The 2 cost is pretty heavy, but if you rock a blue, you can pretty much attack for 2 weapons, pushing out 5 to 7 damage. So it's not bad. Helps kind of keep the pressure on the opponent. Spoils of War. This is another really great card to have. It blocks 3, only costs 1, and then any time that a weapon hits, you get 2 coppers, and then it gets +2 and go again to the first weapon attack. So say the opponent doesn't want to defend, and you have no coppers made at this point, and you're really kind of on the back foot with the copper. With this one turn of Spoils of War, you can, even if with a yellow, you can pay a yellow, play Spoils of War, attack for 4 Gogan. If he decides not to block that, and then you attack for free with the second attack, decides not to block that, you now have 6 coppers, which is all you need for a full Blood on the Hands turn, because you make a 2 from the first hit, 4 from the second hit, and Kassai's ability, you make 1 from each of those, creating a total of 6 coppers, and really being able to, change the pace if you have a Blood on the Hands in Arsenal, or if you top deck a Blood on the Hands. So Spoils of War, a really great card for Kassai. Moving into the reactions, we have the Blade Runner. This is a great Gogan weapon, or a great Gogan card for your weapons. The target, it has to be played in the reaction phase, so you'll attack with a weapon, and then the one-handed weapon will gain Gogan, and the next attack that turn gains +3. So a really strong booster and good card for Gogan. Blocks 3 and then also only costs 1. So those are the Gogan packages for the red. We're going to move now to the other reactions we have. We have the Route. Route's a great card to have in late game. So if you pull it, late game, want to arsenal it for that one turn where the opponent thinks they're going to try to come out you with lethal, so they only maybe block with 1 card in hand. You put the Route down, that card goes back to their hand, and it gets +3. So if it's an attack action, your saber is now going to go to 3, and then +3 is going to go 6. And if they don't have no cards not blocking because of the reprise effect, you're hitting them for 6 damage, and it's a real, clutch way to close out a game. Real sneaky. I only run 1 of them. I don't run 2 of them just because they do cost 2 to play. But it's not a bad card. We have in the swing for the second reaction. It's 0 cost, but you have to attack with 2 or more weapons. So on your second weapon attack, 3rd or 4th if it's a Blow on the Hands turn, you can play in the swing to get +3 to your next weapon. Or, not your next weapon, +3 to that current weapon that's attacking. So it's a nice 0 cost way to get additional 3 out, to possibly go over and get some damage out. Other reactions we have is Stroke of Foresight. These ones both, and Out for Blood, these ones both cost 1. They both get the weapon +3. The reprise effects are different. With Stroke of Foresight, this is good because the reprise effect allows you to draw a card if they block with a card from hand. Choose the card from your hand after drawing to put onto the top or bottom of the deck, so it's good for cycling out for the Blood on the Hands. And then Out for Blood is good because for 1 cost it puts out a good bit of damage because it's +3 to the first attack, and then if a reprise effect is the next weapon that the next weapon that you attack with gets +1 to its attack. So potentially this card can boost +4 damage for costing 1, so it's not bad at all. We have 1 of each of those. So these are the red reactions we have. If you want to maybe add different things, say you like out for blood more than the Stroke of Foresight, you can take the Stroke of Foresight out and then add the out for blood. Those cards are two of the cards that you can maybe, depending on your playstyle, change. I only have two defense reactions, those being Sink Below. Sink Belows are really good because they allow you to either cycle the deck for the blood on the hands, or perhaps you have no Gogan in your hand, you're able to Sink Below and then maybe top deck a Gogan to continue that pressure with the Sabers with Kassai. So that's going to end the red pitch cards that we have in this deck. Moving on, we're going to go into the yellow pitch. So we have the Blood on Our Hands, great card. Their specialization, everyone sees a Kassai, they know this is what they're going to have to worry about. Blood on the Hands allows you, if you have 6 coppers, each copper that you have, you can choose the 3 modes twice. So you can get a +1/+1 Gogan to both weapons and Gogan to, or attack twice to both weapons as well. So say you have 6 coppers, this card is great because you'll always give Gogan and Gogan to both of the Sabers, and then you'll give attack twice, of course, to both of the Sabers. But then the question is, do you want to give +1/+1 to both of these Sabers, or 2 +1 counters? Because you're allowed to give just one weapon +1/+1. So that brings a question, you know, what are you doing? What's in the hand for the the turn? Which is why I added the Iron Song Determination. I have one of these in hand just because if I'm able to pull it or arsenal it for a Blood on the Hands turn, I can attack twice, Gogan with each Sabers, put the 2 +1 counters on one Saber, play the Iron Song Determination, give +1 to this Saber, and dominate to this Saber. So now this Saber has 3 counters on it basically, or +3 on it, and dominate. So this is going to be coming out for 5 dominate, and it attacks twice in Gogan. So that's going to be 2 turns with 5, possibly 6 dominate with no other additional cards that we could maybe boost it up with. So really strong. That's how this turn right here is how I ended up winning the my top 4 match in the skirmish that I won, because I was able to get 2 Blood on the Hands with Minerva and Arsenal at the second counter. I knew I had to give this dominate to ensure that the second hit would trigger Minerva to grab my second Blood on the Hands. So I gave the +1/+1 to this Saber, gave this Saber Gogan, and then I played, so I saved 2 coppers because I played this next, gave this additional +1 and dominate. So this Saber came out, this Saber was blocked because he didn't want to activate the Minerva. This Saber came out, he wasn't able to do a defense reaction, so when this Saber hit, it had Gogan, I could fetch for my second Blood on the Hands, play that, use my 2 coppers to then let this weapon attack twice and give it an additional +1, and it came out for additional +1. It had been blocked with an attack reaction, so it's additional 2, so I think it was like 7 dominate for a second time, and that helped close out the match. So Iron Song is real strong with the Blood on the Hand turn. So those are the not quite the OTK turn, but just a really strong turn to help finish out matches. Then for the Gogan packages with the yellow, you have the yellow Blade Runners and the yellow Run-Throughs. The Blade Runners and Run-Throughs are basically the same card in my opinion. The only difference is the Run-Through has to be a target sword, and Blade Runners target one-hand weapon. Both their sabers are sword and they're both one-hand, so it's essentially the same in this deck. They both block 3, they both cost 1. So it's a great card to get Gogan in a reaction step, and then +2 the next sword attack or one-hand weapon. Like I said, you want to ensure that you have that Gogan with Kassai. As far as the actions, well, we have one action in the yellow pitch zone. That's going to be Outland Skirmish, gets +2 to the next attack, and then any weapon that will, or the first weapon to hit that turn gains copper. So it's a great way to get a little boost on the damage, and then also get that copper going. And then we have In the Swing. It's a 0 cost, blocks 3, and then you can play it in a reaction step if you attack 2 or more times. So a lot of times what will happen is I'll use this just to pitch because it is a yellow, so I can play like a Spoils of War and then attack 1, and it'll be good that way if I have nothing else. Or even if I see that I don't have Gogan and I won't be able to attack twice, I can pitch this to maybe boost something, or even, I think I've even used this before to play Nourishing Emptiness. So it's a good card to have. You could substitute it though if you think you could maybe find something better. Moving on to the blues, we have for the Gogen, Hit and Run. This will almost always be used for pitching, but if you have no Gogen, like I said, you want to keep that Gogen with this deck, so you just play for the Gogen effect. Glint of the Quicksilver, it's a great card to have. It's a reaction, the target weapon gains Gogen, and the reprise effect is if its card is blocked from hand, you can draw. This is great if you have like a two-hand turn late game, and you're able to attack with the saber by pinching one, or maybe even block. If you have, only this one card in hand, breaking your Courage of Rage Forge to give your weapons one less resource to have to attack with. Attack for free. They are like 2 health or something, so they have to block with a card from hand if they have no equipment out. You play this, you're able to draw a card and maybe even push out some more damage. So we have the Glint of Quicksilver for the Gogen as well. The blue Blade Runners, like I said, it's a great card. Gains Gogen in the reaction phase, and +1 to your next attack. Then Blade Flash is going to be the last Gogen that we have in the blues. A lot of these, like I said, they're blue, so you're going to be usually pitching them, and they're like last resort is what you use if you have nothing else to give you Gogen. So if you're unable to pull any other Gogen in the 4 cards that you draw, you can just use these to gain Gogen and then possibly have some more resources to pitch to power up your weapons. The only thing with Blade Flash, you can maybe drop 1 Blade Flash if you're not too worried about the Gogen, because it only blocks 2 and then it does cost 1. And all it does is gives the target sword Gogen. So it could be substituted, possibly, just because the 2 block is probably my biggest issue with it. But besides that, it is nice to have that Gogen. And then last but not least for the blues, we have a reaction, and that being Overpower. Overpower is a really strong card. It can help close out a match if you have, late game cycled your blues to the bottom or whatnot, and you come out with just 1 sword, and you're able to then maybe, when they block with card from hand, get +4 to your weapon. It does cost 3, so you're gonna need those blues to pay for it, but it does have a nice +4 damage. With the base ability just +2, but the reprise is going to be an additional +2. So it's a nice way to close out the match as well. But that's going to be it for the deck tech for Kassai. I think this deck is real powerful. It's really consistent with the damage, and I have in the description of this video the fabdb.net list. If you're curious on playing on TTS or anything like that, you can find that list in the description. And thank you for stopping by. Make sure to drop a subscription or subscribe, and follow any of my other accounts that are going to be also listed in the description. Y'all have a good night.